And finally, this December, I can put a name to the property here above the Meads Quarry and back of the Meads Quarry and above the Stanton Cemetery. This is a former Art Rall house and home. Art Rall was a cartographer, man who makes maps, and he was also he worked for the Forest Service. Amber Parker tells me he was a hermit, sort of a mountain man, if you will, who lived up here by himself, never married, no children, and high up here. Off of Dunn Street below. All the way up this hill, you have the Meads Quarry over there. And, yeah. Art Rall passed away earlier this year, and his family has sold his former home to Ijams Nature Center this past summer. My second visit here, the first one, I didn't know where I was or what I had found, but it certainly amazed me. So there's something nice about returning here, knowing who this property once belonged to. The most notable sign here is a sign here, posted. An obvious indication that Ijams now has bought the property. And I hope it's observed, but who knows. The home is from 1904, I believe. I read in the local paper here at I'm not sure what year Art Rall's moved into it. Yeah, it's certainly a sign from the past here at Ijams Nature Center, when many of the homes along Island Home Avenue, there were many homes in Island, or there were many homes and private property at one time at the Ijams Nature Center, along the Ijams Nature Center, throughout the Ijams Nature Center. The Dunn Street house I first found in 21, I kind of stumbled upon down the hill. That was a private house at one time, until Ijams bought it from the family. Much like this house was once a private home at one time, and Ijams has just come into possession of it. But as Amber Parker made known to me, or kind of reiterated, that there's a lot of property. There were many properties throughout the Ijams Nature Center at one time. Many of them were workers at the Ross Quarry, the Ross Mead Quarry, which is just over the hill here. Many of the workers that work there had homes along Island Home and within the property, which is now owned by the Ijams Nature Center here outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. So, the Art Rall house is just, further increases the size of the Ijams Nature property with its sale this past year and it coming into possession of Ijams. The Dunn Street property down the road, if you will, here, that came into Ijams possession 2 or 3 years ago, and they flattened that property. They tore it down. There's development now going on there at that former site. So, so it's in time and over the years, 50 years of Ijams Nature Center here, they have acquired old and abandoned properties, most of them in this area. It was interesting looking at the home site map the other day, where the original home of H.P. Ijams and his wife and 4 children lived. And looking at the map by Ijams Nature Center, and clearly labeled on this very dated map are private properties that are marked on the map of Ijams Nature Center as private properties. And this was one. The Dunn Street house was one. With this acquisition by Ijams Nature Center, it expands its preserve out here. It's a natural preserve out here to 350 plus acres, which is quite remarkable and quite extensive here in South Knoxville. When I first came up here, I don't know what Ijams intends to do with this site, with this property. I don't know. What I found fascinating myself about it when I first saw it, when I first discovered it, the Art Rall house, as it came to be called, is how much this seems very much emblematic of a dated time, a past time in East Tennessee history, like the homes and cabins and lodges in the Smoky Mountains. This Art Rall house is very much iconic of that time and of that era, if you will. And so I see this today as sort of an icon of the past, a museum, I don't know, a museum of the past perhaps, when truly, mountain men lived in the hills, far away from the turmoil and strife, like Rip Van Winkle's, away from nagging women, nagging wives, and aggravating society that they couldn't stand. Yeah, I mean, this property is, it's living history is what it is. Here, up above, Island Home Avenue, the Meads Quarry, and the rest of, the neighborhood, the community, the civilization. And that's the way Art Rall lived when he lived here by himself. And it's so symbolic. But like I said, I don't know where Ijams is going with this, what they want to do with this. But to me, I am here primarily to photograph it and to document it, because I don't know what Ijams is going to do with it. And yeah, so I want pictures if they decide to bring it down. Yeah, so, but, like I said, I don't know. The thing now that they have the property here, they own the property here, that it's no longer family, that's good. And it's also bad because it invites people you don't want here. It invites transients. It invites, people you don't want here. Yeah. By the looks of it, it doesn't look like anybody has been into the property. All right, there's windows here. The windows seem to all be in place. And from the last time I was up here, about, 2 months ago, I think it was September, it doesn't look, it's hard to tell if anybody's been inside. Because this guy lived as a hermit. He lived here in the hills. And, if this place, is to be a museum, or Ijams is worried about it, being attractive here in the middle of nobody to people they don't want. I would think the family would have gathered some of the old belongings that belong to Art Rall, but it doesn't look like, anybody has been here. I don't know, to collect past items, old items. Yeah. And I don't know if Ijams itself has been through the house. They might have taken a cursory thing, but, I would think, just me, and I don't, it's me. I would think Ijams, if not the family, should go through this property inside and, pull from it things that might be historically significant. Art lived here for decades, and so, and let's see, the last time I was here, what caught my attention was that looking through here, yeah, there's still belongings that may be historically significant. And, it doesn't look like anybody's been in there. But, it'd be wise of Ijams to have someone go through the interior there and collect what may be valuable from the past. Like I said, he was a cartographer. He was a service ranger or a Forest Service employee. So it'd be great to go in there and see what's there that can be taken out before, homeless women and children get in there. Certainly next year, 26. The windows are still in place. But I have seen this time and time again, with properties. Knoxville College. Let us go there at, properties, abandoned properties and buildings that, just are left to rot and to be used and abused by, homeless and children and, transients and, I don't know how many YouTube videos I saw, of children rifling through, the main, historic hall at Knoxville College. It was an historical black college. And it's not the city's fault. It's not Knoxville City's fault. Time and time again, Knoxville had asked, whoever the owner of the day is at the college, and they got a number of acres there and a number of very historical buildings there, to please do something with it. And they just hem and haw. And just, it's ours. We own it. Well, they just, and it's a disgrace how that historical black college, outside of Knoxville, has been completely ruined because, the owner of the day there refused to take action on the property. So, this, I think, for Ijams is much the same thing. They have something, at least to me, is historical and it's significant and it's emblematic, of a Tennessee life that is long gone. A home in the hills. And it doesn't look like it's been, tampered with or messed with. I see no graffitis or anything like that yet. Okay, but I am photographing here December 2025. Okay? And, it's tended to. Now, That's good. What's bad also is that, Ijams is a nonprofit. Ijams doesn't have, Ijams is more, I'm sure, than grateful to have this property. But, wow, I sure hope they find volunteers or the money to kind of shore this up and to salvage what may be inside before other people do, and that's what troubles me, and that's what worries me, because, there may be a lot of historic things here, and I'd hate to see it fall into the wrong, the wrong hole, if you will. If Ijams doesn't act in time, So I'm out here really for two things and for two reasons: to kind of document the gift they have here, and also to document what, depending on what they decide to do with it, document a long gone time in East Tennessee. The Rip Van Winkle, the Mountain Dew man, who lives by himself up in the hills. And, kind of takes care of himself, thank you. Doesn't really care for anyone else to dictate his life and his so yeah, so there is another home like this. While I'm on this subject, right at the Augusta Quarry. It's at the entrance to the Augusta Quarry in Fort Dickerson Park. And that home, I've talked about that home as long, if not longer, than I talked about the home on Dunn Street here at Ijams. It's a gorgeous, beautiful piece of property against the Fort Dickerson Park hills there on Augustus Avenue Road, something like that. Right at the entrance, right above the entrance, the beautiful entrance to the Augusta Quarry. And it was always vacant. It was always empty. Recently, I checked on that last year, I think. And, it's a playground, I think, for kids. So I don't know who owns the property, if anyone, but, the kids thought it was cool last year. And the kids think it's cool every year, it seems. It's, again, I don't know what the inside is like there at that house. at the Augusta Quarry. I've never been inside. I don't own it. I do know that electric is on there. And, every time I see it, there's some, young person claiming ownership to it. But somehow I always see them in a car, telling me what to do. I never see them inside the property, which is standard fare for my travels throughout America. But with that said, again, I've never seen any graffiti on the walls there. I've never seen any broken windows there at the Augusta site. So that's good. I don't know what's inside. It's I don't know. I don't know. And it's like, well, it looks like it's been, the property's been observed and preserved by whoever's playing games with it. I know electric is on there, outside lighting. I don't know what's inside. If anything, maybe it might be a project for me in 26 to look through city records, perhaps, and find out finally who owns that and what's going on with that. Because it's been a cool place, for kids here and South Knoxville, actually, to play with and play around. And thankfully, they've been, very mature about it and responsible about it, and there's been no broken windows or anything like that, much like there seems to be here. There doesn't seem to be any damage or, any sign of, graffiti or something like that here. But I do hope that Ijams, because obviously the family, if they wanted anything, they got it before they sold this place. But, I think it would behoove Ijams to go through here and find out perhaps what treasures may be here from the property, the former property of Rall. Or the Historical Society on Gay Street, in conjunction perhaps with the History Project, Jack Neely. And find out, just what can be harvested from this former home site of Rall. Because I know that, Knoxville College did no such thing with their site. And I was horrified to learn that, with Knoxville College, one video I saw, a YouTube video I saw of Knoxville College, these guys going inside the main building. It's an iconic feature from the campus. I can't remember, Freeman Hall or something like that. Going in the main historic building on campus, and that these two young men were amazed that the bell in the main hall was still there. They were like joking to them, let's ring the bell, let's ring the bell. In the main building of this historic black college, no one ever thought to remove, the bell from the school building. It's still there. And see, that's the problem. That inertia that has been Knoxville College. Because, I asked Dr. Renee Kessler of the Beck Cultural Center here in Knoxville. I asked her about the bell at the Knoxville College. And, I said, doesn't anybody want to pull that? Doesn't anybody want that? And she said, yeah, it's still there, but, it's like, we don't own it. We don't own the college. It's not our property. You see? And then that just invites inertia, which has been going on that, 100-acre campus now for like 30, 40 years. And, fires are always happening there. Vandalism, graffiti. It's been torn apart. Why didn't anybody ever get the bell? Well, there it is. It's not our property. We don't have a right to go inside and salvage it. It's a disgrace. Now, with all that said, Ijams Nature Center, I can tell you from years of experience here in Knoxville, climbing these hills and trails around here, Ijams is no Knoxville College. They understand history. They understand significance of what they have here in the hills outside of downtown Knoxville. And so I don't believe, they will let this Rall property fall into, ruin and be claimed, if not, by nature, which is not a problem, of course, but to, vagrants and transients and, kids who might find it cool, to squat inside. So that's the Rall property here, and that's my opinion. Here, after 4 years? 4 years, going on 5 years of living in Knoxville. 1 year living, in a pavilion, a picnic pavilion at Fort Dickerson Park, before moving into public housing. and discovering through discussions and experience and, observations myself of, what Knoxville and its institutions do with, or don't do with abandoned properties that are historically significant around the city.